Hello everyone, my name is Srinidhi. Today I will be presenting on the major cyber threats that are shaping 2025. The title, From Phishing to AI, reflects the journey of cyber attacks, starting from traditional attacks like phishing to the latest AI powered threats. We'll explore not only what these attacks are, but also their impact, emerging trends, and strategies for prevention. The goal is to understand how the cybersecurity landscape is evolving and what it means for organizations and individuals alike. So, before we dive in, here's a quick overview of what we will cover today. We will start with an introduction to cyber attacks, what they are, and why they matter in 2025. Then we'll explore classic attacks, including phishing, ransomware, data breaches, and supply chain attacks. The threats that have been around for years but remain highly relevant. Next, we will move into AI driven cyber attacks, covering AI generated phishing, deepfakes, AI powered malware, LLM exploitation, and cloud or API attacks. After that, we'll look at emerging trends and future threats, the attacks we need to watch out for moving forward. Finally, we'll discuss prevention and cyber hygiene, practical strategies to protect ourselves and our organization. So, this structure will help us see the evolution of cyber attacks from traditional methods to modern AI enabled threats and understand how defenses must adapt. Let's see what is a cyber attack. A cyber attack is any deliberate attempt to steal, expose, alter, or destroy information by gaining unauthorized access to system or data. These attacks can target anyone from individuals and small businesses to large organizations and even governments. Attackers exploit two main weaknesses. One is technical vulnerabilities in system, and second is human weaknesses such as poor password practices or falling for social engineering. With digital transformation and cloud adoption, our attack surface has expanded significantly, giving attackers more opportunities. In 2025, AI driven attacks and automations have made cyber threats faster, smarter, and harder to detect, which is why understanding these attacks is more important than ever. Now, let's see why cyber attacks are increasing. Cyber attacks are happening more often these days, and there are several reasons for that. One big factor is how much we rely on technology, from smart devices and cloud apps to working remotely, which gives attackers more ways to get in. Another reason is that data is extremely valuable. Things like your personal information, financial details, and business secrets are now like gold to attackers. Third is ransomware. Ransomware has turned cybercrime into a business. Groups are organized and professional, sometimes even targeting multiple countries at once. AI has also made attacks easier for almost anyone. Even people without deep technical skills can now launch sophisticated attacks using AI tools. And on top of that, tensions between nations are spilling over into cyberspace, leading to state sponsored attacks and politically motivated hacking. So, when we put it all together, it's easy to see why cybersecurity has become such a critical part of every organization's strategy. Now, let's see some traditional or classic attacks. In this, phishing is one of the oldest and most common cyber attacks, and it basically acts as a gateway for many other attacks. Attackers trick people into sharing their credentials or downloading malware without realizing it, and this can happen through emails, SMS messages, voice calls, or fake websites. In 2025, phishing has become even trickier. AI can now write emails that look completely natural and mimic someone's writing style perfectly. Attackers can even use deepfake voice to impersonate executives over the phone. So the impact is serious. That is stolen credential, business email compromise, and even opening the door for ransomware. For example, earlier this year, a smear phishing campaign pretending to be Microsoft 365 update reached thousands of users, and many were fooled into clicking the link. So, even though phishing has been around for decades, it's evolving and remains a major threat, especially with AI tools in play. Next classic attack is ransomware. Ransomware is a malware that locks or encrypts data and demands ransom to restore access. It's one of the most damaging attacks organizations face today. Originally, ransomware targeted individuals, but it has evolved into ransomware as a service, where even low skilled attackers can rent ransomware tools and launch attacks. Another worrying trend is double or triple extortion. Attackers not only encrypt your data but also steal it and threaten to leak it publicly if the ransom isn't paid. Some major incidents in 2025 illustrate how serious this has become. For example, the Black Cat and Lockbit 3.0 groups targeted hospitals and logistics company, causing widespread disruption. Another case is the Power School breach, which was particularly alarming. It impacted over 6,500 school districts, exposing data on more than 62 million students and 9.5 million teachers. So, the consequence of ransomware includes financial loss, permanent data destruction, and major reputational damage. So, what are the preventive measures we can take for such attacks? The preventive measures include regular backups, patch management, email filtering, and most importantly, user training. So you can avoid clicking malicious links or downloading unsafe files. Moving on to the next classic attack, that is data breaches and supply chain attacks. So, what is a data breach? A data breach happens when someone gets unauthorized access to sensitive information like your personal details, financial records, or business secrets. These breaches can affect both the individual and the entire organization. Now, what is a supply chain attack? So, a supply chain attack is a bit different. Here, attackers target a vendor, supplier, or a third party service to indirectly compromise multiple companies. So, even if your own systems are secure, a weakness in a partner can put you at risk. Here, this diagram shows a supply chain attack, how a supply chain attack works. So it's when hackers don't attack the final users directly, but instead go after the software supplier that everyone trusts, as you can see in the diagram. The attacker or the hacker is not directly attacking the final users. So let's break it down step by step. On the left, you can see the threat actor, that's the hacker. They create or insert malicious code, which are harmful instructions meant to steal data or give them control. So instead of attacking users directly, they inject that malicious code into an update repository, for example, on GitHub or a company's update server. So the software vendor or technology company unknowingly builds or updates their product using this compromised code. So when the customer or the business or regular users later download or update their software, the malicious code spreads to all of them automatically. As a result, many victims get affected, and even though they downloaded software from a trusted source. So, an analogy to understand this supply chain attack better is you can think of this as like poisoning a batch of food at a factory instead of at a restaurant. The hacker poisons the food supply, this which is the software update here, and when that food is delivered to hundreds of restaurants, that is the customers, everyone who eats it gets sick. So even though they got it from a trusted brand. For example, in 2025, Angel One, a broking firm, suffered a massive data leak. So, to clarify what a broking firm is, it is a company that helps people buy and sell stocks or other financial assets. So, the hacker accessed an unsecured AWS storage bucket. Now, what is an AWS storage bucket? It is basically a cloud storage space where the company kept user data. Because it wasn't properly protected, hackers could download sensitive information from it. This breach exposed data of 7.9 million users, including trading details and customer IDs. So the consequences include identity theft, legal issues, and loss of trust among customers and partners. How can you prevent such attacks? So, to prevent such attacks, companies should encrypt their data, monitor third party services, and perform regular security audits to ensure everything is properly secure. Now, let's move on to let's move to modern or AI driven attacks. With the rise of artificial intelligence, cyber attacks have become more advanced and much harder to detect. One major development in 2025 is AI generated phishing. Attackers are now using AI tools to generate highly convincing phishing emails, ones that sound completely natural, often written in perfect grammar, and even mimicking the tone or style of real people or organizations. These AI crafted messages are more personalized, making them seem legitimate and increasing the chance of a victim clicking a malicious link or sharing credentials. Another key point is that AI making it much easier for attackers. Even people without strong technical knowledge or language skills can now create convincing, sophisticated phishing campaigns. So, this means what used to require skill and time can now be automated or generated instantly, allowing large scale attacks to happen much faster and with much less effort. So, in short, AI has lowered the barrier to entry, increased the scale of attack, and made cyber threats more adaptive than ever before. Next AI driven attack is deepfakes. Deepfakes have become one of the most alarming uses of AI in cybercrime. They use artificial intelligence to create realistic fake videos, images, or audio that can make someone appear to say or do anything they never actually did. One of the most dangerous uses is executive impersonation. Attackers can create live video deepfakes of CEOs or CFOs and use them during real time calls to pressure employees into transferring money or sharing confidential information. So, this is often combined with business email compromise or BEC, making the scam even more convincing. Then we have romance and investment scam, where AI generated personas chat, they call, and even video chat victims over time so they can build a emotional trust before tricking them into sending money or investing in fake schemes. Another rising threat is KYC bypass, where attackers use deepfake videos or images to fool identity verification systems during account creation or financial onboarding. This can allow criminals to open bank accounts or crypto wallets under someone else's name. Overall, deepfakes have blurred the line between what's real and then what's fake, creating serious challenges for digital trust and online identity. On the slide, we'll see how attackers are using AI to make their attacks more intelligent and harder to stop. Let's start with AI malware. Imagine malware that can change its shape every time you look at it. That's basically what's happening now. These programs can rewrite parts of their own code, disguise themselves, or use normal system tools so they don't look suspicious. It's like a chameleon blending into its surrounding. Because of this, traditional antivirus tools that look for fixed signatures often can't detect them. Now let's talk about how attackers target LLMs or large language models, basically the AI brains behind tools like ChatGPT. Large language models like ChatGPT can be tricked into doing things they weren't meant to. Attackers create special or poisoned prompts that confuse the AI into revealing hidden data or writing malicious code. So some even use unregulated versions of these models. Sometimes it's called dark LLMs, and they have no safety filters at all. Finally, AI augmented reconnaissance. Now, what is reconnaissance? Reconnaissance means attackers reach a research phase, learning about the target before striking. Now, AI does this automatically. Instead of a hacker manually browsing LinkedIn, for example, or company websites, AI tools can crawl the internet, identify employees, their roles, even map out which systems are most vulnerable. So these tools can then generate realistic phishing emails, find exposed APIs, and create fake accounts to pass KYC checks, all in minutes. So it's like having a smart assistant that does all the prep work for a cyber attack, only in this case for the wrong side. All of this means attackers are getting faster, more efficient, and they're getting more adaptive. So our defenses also need to evolve using behavior-based detection instead of static rules, then sanitizing AI inputs, and automating our security responses too. Now let's move to how attackers are targeting cloud systems and large language models. Two things that most modern organizations rely on. A cloud attack usually happens when a company's online setup has misconfiguration, like leaving doors open by accident, basically. So this could mean weak passwords, too many permissions, or an exposed API, which is like leaving a window unlocked. One of the common techniques used here is SSRF, or server side request forgery. In simple terms, the attacker tricks a company's cloud server into sending a request it shouldn't. Uh, se- uh, it tricks a company's cloud server into sending requests it shouldn't, like often to an internal resource. For example, in platform like AWS, this can give the attackers access to something called instance metadata. And instance metadata is something which stores your keys and credentials used by the system. So if that is leaked, it's like a gold mine for the attacker. So you will often hear the term IAM. It stands for Identity and Access Management. So it basically is a system that controls who can access what. Think of it like the digital equivalent of office ID cards and door permissions. So some people can enter only certain rooms, right? So if IAM policies are too weak or too broad, it's like giving a guest a master key to the entire building. That's what attackers exploit. Now let's talk about attacks on large language models, that is LLM. There are two main types. First is prompt injection. When attackers give the AI a cleverly crafted input that makes it leak private information or perform restricted actions. Second is data poisoning. That is where someone adds malicious or fake data into the model's training data set. So it learns the wrong things or produces biased or unsafe outputs. Imagine if someone secretly edits a teacher's textbook. Now, every student that learns from it will have wrong information. So that's what data poisoning does to AI. These attacks can expose sensitive company or customer data and even compromise the trustworthiness of an AI model. So, how can you prevent this? To prevent them, the companies need to enforce strong IAM rules, validate every input before it reaches the system, monitor LLMs for abnormal behavior, and follow a zero trust model, which means assuming no user or device is automatically safe until verified. So, in short, both cloud and AI systems are incredibly powerful, but that also makes them attractive targets. Security now means not just locking the door, but continuously checking who's knocking and why. Looking ahead, there are several trends and threats we need to be aware of. First, AI driven malware phishing kits are making attacks faster, more convincing, and harder to detect. Next, cybercrime as a service platforms are growing, meaning even attackers without technical skills can rent tools or infrastructures to launch attacks. Next is quantum computing is another emerging concern. Once it matures, it could potentially break some of the encryption methods we rely on today, putting sensitive data at risk. Next is critical infrastructure is also a target. Energy grids, your transport system, and healthcare networks are increasingly attacked because disruption here has massive consequences. Next is IoT devices from smart home gadgets to connected industrial sensors are becoming easy entry points for attackers due to poor security. Finally, we are seeing a rise in hacktivism and geopolitical cyber warfare. where politically motivated attacks target governments or organizations to make a statement or gain some strategic advantage. So all these trends, they highlight that cyber threats are evolving rapidly and our defenses need to evolve just as quickly. After looking at all these attacks, it's important to focus on how we can defend ourselves and our organization. And one key strategy is zero trust architecture, which means never automatically trust any user or device, and every access request should be verified. Next is multi-factor authentication, or MFA, is another essential layer. It can dramatically reduce the success of phishing attacks because even if a password is stolen, attackers can't get in without the second factor. Next is AI-driven threat detection, helps by monitoring systems in real time and spotting any unusual activity before it becomes a breach. Next is basic hygienes like regular backups and patching is still critical. It's one of the best ways to prevent ransomware from causing major damage. Next is the security awareness training, which is equally important. Humans are often the weakest link, so educating employees on phishing, social engineering, and safe practices makes a huge difference. Finally, incident response planning ensures organizations are prepared for the inevitable, and the mindset should be when an attack happens and not if. So this allows the team to respond quickly and minimize impact. I'd like to end with this quote, that is, cybersecurity is a race with no finish line. It really captures the reality of our field. Threats are constantly evolving and we must keep learning, updating defenses, and staying vigilant. Even as new technologies like AI offer incredible opportunities, they also create new attack vectors. So cybersecurity will always be an ongoing challenge. So the key takeaway is that it's not about reaching a final point of perfect security, but about continuously improving and staying ahead of threats. To wrap up, cyber attacks are getting smarter, faster, and more personalized than ever before. The rise of AI is changing the game. It's transforming not just how attacks are carried out, but also how we defend against them. Even though classic attacks like phishing and ransomware are still around, they now often come with an AI twist, making them harder to detect and prevent. And the best way to forward is to adapt, educate, and automate. Adapt by updating defenses and strategies, educate employees and users to stay vigilant, and automate threat detection whenever possible to keep pace with attackers. So, in short, cybersecurity is constantly evolving challenge, and staying proactive is key to staying secure. Here are some references I have used for this presentation, including reports, blogs, and real-world examples from 2025. They provide detailed insights into both classic and AI-driven cyber threats, as well as prevention strategies. So that brings us to the end of the presentation. Thank you all for your time and attention. I hope this gave you a clear overview of the major cyber threats today, the role AI is playing, and how we can protect ourselves and our organizations. Thank you.